Recognized for 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dettelbach, and to members of your team. Thank you so much for your public service. Thank you for your work. Thank you for doing everything you can to increase safety in our country and communities across America. I want to thank the volunteers who are here today, and I know that there are many, many more who are watching throughout the country. All these incredible advocates and activists who come together time and again to demand fundamental safety for yourselves, for your families, for our smallest, tiniest Americans. Thank you for everything that you do. I represent El Paso, Texas, a community that has had 2 mass shootings since 2019. I have also had someone very close to me murdered through gun violence. It is absolutely everywhere. We are a nation awash in guns. And it's not that we are becoming a more violent country per se, or a country that is actually seeing massive increases in crime. It's that the crimes are getting deadlier because of the weapons that have flooded our communities. In fact, one of my local newspapers, the El Paso Times, recently had an article about how juvenile crime is not up. In fact, in many ways, juvenile crime in my community is stable. But what has changed is that crime is now more frequently used by juveniles with access to guns, because it is so easy to get guns in our country. So we're seeing more bloodshed, more death, more fear. And we heard from my colleague in Pennsylvania who talked about her visit with young people in her district. It was eerily similar to what I was going to share with you. Just this weekend, I met with my Youth Advisory Council, incredibly talented, optimistic, hopeful, ambitious young people. And one of their top topics, in fact, the biggest issue for them right now, is gun violence and the fear that they live in. I cannot believe the trauma that we are instilling in our children, because we cannot come to an agreement that their lives have value. And it is stunning to me that we're not moving closer and closer to common sense solutions. What is happening is we've been, House Democrats, Senate Democrats, we've been consistent in wanting common sense solutions. But it's been my Republican colleagues that have been moving the needle in the other direction. In fact, looser gun laws, making sure more people have more guns, making sure those guns are even deadlier. Oh, and let's fight about what they call a piece of plastic that makes shootings deadlier, more targeted. It is really unbelievable to me. And now they have really ramped up the extremism to the point where not only are we further and further away from common sense solutions, but they now want to abolish the ATF. This should not be a surprise. This is the same party that wants to abolish the FBI. Mr. Dettelbach, I'd like to ask you a question. A 2021 investigation found many instances in which federally licensed gun dealers were violating the law but were allowed to stay open. According to that investigation, ATF officials had been routinely downgrading their recommendations for disciplining these gun dealers so they could continue selling guns. According to the article, more than 200 dealers were cited for selling guns to people who indicated on background check paperwork that they were prohibited from owning them. Dozens made false statements in official records. A Florida gun dealer sold a handgun to a convicted felon in a parking lot, and the examples go on and on. Overall, the investigation found that approximately 99% of the businesses found to have violated the law were allowed to stay open. By revoking the licenses of corrupt or irresponsible gun dealers, is the ATF acting on new regulations or enforcing longstanding law?
At ATF, we do not write the law. Congress writes the law, and we enforce that long-standing law. I believe that you're referring to a recent Inspector General report. And that was a report that I think had a lot of different recommendations. We welcome them. We will seek to implement recommendations from that report to do our job more effectively and efficiently, to use crime gun intelligence. We've already started doing that, changing because the period was already 16 months old, so we've already started doing that. And that was a report that I think one of the bottom lines of that report sort of criticized that ATF wasn't being strict enough, right? And so what we do at ATF is we try to do the best we can with the resources that we have. The men and women who are out there inspecting, there are 800 of them total for nearing 100,000 federally licensed firearms dealers and more inspections, because we also have to inspect all the explosive dealers every 3 years. We will continue to work hard to apply the laws Congress has written it and to hold those accountable who are committing willful violation, and to work with the law-abiding firearms dealers to try and protect the American people together in partnership.
Thank you so much.